I'm sure you'd have heard during the campaign, I said, is the economy stupid? Quoting from what happened in Bill Clinton's campaign. And people thought that I was being offensive, and it did come down to the economy. All the opinion polls showed that the economy and employment were the most important issues. And so what we did was to drill down our message to issues to do with job creation and the economy, and eventually it did pay off. The economy is going to be the number one focus because it affects everything else. If the economy is in a bad way, it affects education, it affects agriculture, it affects sports, it affects every sector of the country. So we're going to have to be dealing with stabilizing the economy. Unfortunately, in this circumstance, we have two major issues. One, macroeconomic stability, and two, debt sustainability. In all the other times that we've gone to the IMF, it's just been for macroeconomic stability. But we have twin problems now. And so we're going to continue the IMF program. We already have requested some discussion with the IMF because we're not part of the negotiation of this program. And so we need to look at how we can all be on the same wavelength in terms of implementing the program. We're not going to jettison the program. I want to make that clear. We're not jettisoning the program. But within the program, I'm sure that there can be some leverage for tweaking it. And so if we're able to reach that agreement, then we'll continue the program till it ends. What it means is that the budgets must align with the IMF program. So there's not much leverage in there for making the kind of radical reforms that you might immediately need to make. But we would accept the reforms that are being made under the IMF and deepen them when we have our own program after the current extended credit facility runs out. So far, so good. Bringing down inflation is number one priority. Stabilizing the currency is number two. Bringing the deficit down, cutting expenditure, increasing revenues. I mean, those are the things that we need to be looking at.
One of the things that resonated with the young people was the 24-hour economy.
Yes.
Do you care explaining what that means for ordinary Ghanaians?
24-hour economy is not a new thing. It's being implemented in many countries. And so Ghana will not be the first to implement a 24-hour economy. What a 24-hour economy does is that you provide incentives to the private sector to be able to increase their production and increase the number of working hours and increase the number of employees. That is what it is.
Let's move on to the next topic, unemployment. Every single young person I talk to, they talk about how there are no jobs.
You know, job creation is not an event, it's a process. And so you're not going to be able to, with one stroke of the pen, create the number of jobs that you want. The first thing is restoring the economy back to health and restoring it back onto the path of growth. That in itself will begin to throw up jobs. Businesses are suffering. A lot of businesses have laid off people just because of the crisis we've had in the economy. And so just bringing the economy back and letting businesses grow again. We are not interested in the artificial job creation measures that have been done in the past, like NAPCO, where young people were taken through 3 years, paid an allowance, and promised that they will be graduated into jobs, and at the end of the process, they've been abandoned. We're not going to do those artificial job creation measures. We already have the Youth Employment Agency that is creating those opportunities for training and for orientation for jobs. We think that Ghanaians are not all consigned to become employees. If you look at the government sector employs less than 1 million people out of a population of 33 million. And so it's not a viable sector where all the teeming youth can get a job. The best place to get a job would be for the private sector to grow. And in the past, what we've done is pay lip service to the private sector. It is time to take the private sector seriously, both in terms of expanding their capacity to employ, but at the same time, creating opportunities for young people to create their own jobs. Now that we have the African Continental Free Trade Area, it should be possible for us to encourage Ghanaian business to take advantage of that and increase production so that we can export to all the other African countries.
Mr. President, let me follow up on a quicker point. You talked about how you're going to help young people acquire employment. Yesterday, I ran into a young lady by the names of Penelope Brooke Thompson. She runs a technical institute where she trains plumbers, artisans
Yes.
To gain gainful employment.
Yeah.
But her problem is she doesn't have funds to keep something like that going.
Yes.
So far, she's been actively doing it for about 2 years.
Yeah.
But she has trained about 180 who have gone on to
Yes.
graduate, and they're doing amazing work with them.
Yes.
So are there programs like that that can support young people like that?
It fits into two programs that we have. The National Apprenticeship Program, which would allow master craftsmen to train apprentices and give them the manual skills that they need to be able to either set up their own businesses or go into the world of work. So that is one aspect of it. We also have the intention to expand technical and vocational education training. And government is not going to be able to do it alone. We need a private sector like people like her to come on board. Because if we train skilled labor, people who can use their hands to work, if you look at the direction in which business is going, they're looking more for not grammar school kinds of people, not more people who have done humanities. There's an oversubscription of people who have degrees in humanities, including masters and PhDs. If you look at where business is going, it is going more for skilled labor, and so they need technicians, electricians, carpenters, skilled welders, and so on and so forth. And so if we're able to equip our young people with these skills, it will make it easier for them to be able to find work, both locally, but also externally. You know, the population in Asia and Europe is aging, and so they have a deficit of skilled manpower. And so several countries are signing agreements where young Africans who are well skilled can go and work for fixed contracts, say 5 years, and come back. Germany and Kenya recently signed an agreement to send skilled technicians to Germany to go and work. We're willing to sign those kinds of contracts with other countries.
When it comes to education, a lot of young people thought maybe the election could have even gone the other way because of free education. But at the same time, they are worried that this program, where a lot of young people are benefiting, or the parents are afraid that once you get into office, you might scrap that.
Free SHS has come to stay, and it is not going anywhere. Nobody is going to scrap free SHS. What was said was political talk, and it was just political gimmickry. Free SHS is not going anywhere. We're going to maintain the policy. What we're going to do is to get dedicated funding for it so that it is better resourced than it is currently. There's a lot of waste in the system. We're going to help to make it more efficient so that the teachers, the parents, and the students get the best out of the free SHS. We're going to look at the basic school level too. Because we have focused on free SHS, we are abandoning the basic level. And so the basic level is becoming a major problem. 1.3 million pupils at the basic level do not have furniture. They don't have tables and chairs to sit on. They lie on their stomachs in the classroom or sit on cement blocks. And that's because all our focus has been on the secondary school level. So we're going to hold a national education forum, and that forum is going to bring all the stakeholders together. And we're going to take a look at the whole education value chain. And we're going to come, and by consensus, all of us, it's non-partisan, everybody of every walk of life who has a stake in education is going to be at that conference. And we're going to take important decisions on how to reform our education so that the children get better quality. And so that's what we're going to look at. But the thing about me coming and scrapping free SHS was just political gimmickry by the MPP. Free SHS has come to stay. We're going to make it better. We're going to improve the quality of the food for the children.
Here of Galamsey.
Yeah.
What do you say about it? How are you going to... we had protests last year, and previously there's been a lot of agitation.
When this government came, they passed an LI